Cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I said, I went to Rom, hadn't been there since '83. Couldn't believe it was there. It was like Dion, Graham, all these guys, and they were like really friendly. And and then I kept going back. I think there's a story here with these guys.
Yeah.
There's like it's not like you go to a skate park, there's loads of kids on scooters, and it was just a really friendly bunch of people. And Dion is like Ian. When I interviewed Ian, he said Dion's like the mate of D in a restaurant.
The grandfather of Rom,
It's
yeah.
like you walk in, and he sort of shows you around, and yeah, and I just sort of, the more I thought about it, then over the winter, I sort of started writing ideas down. And I went to Dion and I said, look, and I spoke and I emailed Ian. I said, look, do you think there's a story about all the people that have kind of come through here, and with the heritage of it, it's almost like Rom's its own character that is sort of brought all these people together.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's just unique, really. It's
yeah.
just a great. I just loved it there. And I spoke to John, the owner, who's constantly moaning about everything, and he's great. I love him as well. He's just a great character.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just like that kind of East End, London.
Yeah.
It's a sense of humour and.
Yeah, I mean, I discovered Rom again. Obviously, once I came back to skating, my brother fancied a trip over there as well. But in the beginning, from where I never went there for all them years, I think it's about 33, 34 years altogether. My brother sort of dragged me over there, and I went over there with a broken ankle, and I was in plaster, so I couldn't skate. I'd only just got back to it, because that was one of the first things I did when I first came back on the first very day of skating. Broke my ankle 7 days in the hospital, Darren's hospital. But we went up to Rom, and I couldn't believe the place was still there. When I went there, and it was one of these skate days up there. Where they do the barbecues up there. They had a load of punks as well, and I didn't really know what to expect. And I bumped into a couple of my old buddies. Seth Parker was there, who I used to skate with, Man Dog Bowl in a team with. And we've done a lot of catching up and had a good laugh. And realised that, Rom was like, it was a real mixture of so many different types of people. But they were pretty I'd say peaceful, if you like, pretty rad as well. Some guys there that could just skate, like quite crazy, I thought, especially at the time, coming back to it and all that. And they sort of welcomed me there all right as well, all padded up and everything. But I had a really good time and gelled with a few people like Dion, get on well with Dion, and Mr. Taft, John, of course, who owns it. And there's a lot of other faces and names that I could probably mention if I can remember them. But yeah, they're good old lot, them.
Well, what's your story then? What's your background? Like because there's those pictures of you I've seen as a 10-year-old. The Mad Dog. So a bit about.
Yeah, it's I mean that was like a life story on its own, even though it was fast lived, if you like. I've literally really started skating when I was about 6 to 7 years of age. That's the truth. And but I never skated parks. I only skated the path, on a flyer skateboard, that type of thing. And we used to make our own ramps. And then my dad actually stayed with me and got me into it. Keith Maunders, he was pretty much pushing me all the time with skating. I enjoyed it, and it was a good excuse for him to get out and have some fun, because he's always liked doing his hobbies. So it was a good excuse to get out the house. He works for a skate shop in Lee High Road in Lewisham, and that was called there was a shop called Weinstein's, which done all skating, ski stuff, that type of thing, extreme sports. And a bit further up there's a shop called Slicks, and he used to make, he worked in there making the skateboard decks, compressing the plywoods, shaping them up, etc. And he did that, and I used to get his off-casts and stuff that he used to make here and there, still skating only in the path. And then one day, he told me he got a new job up this place called the Mad Dog Bowl, which was the Old Kent Road. The Astoria in 1978 that was, and he took me up there for the first day, And I think this is this is what sort of opened my eyes to skating really when I was younger. I always loved it, but I've never seen nothing like it. I saw like a giant half pipe, quite long ended, made of Marbolite. Never seen anything like it in my life really. It was about I think it's only about 12.5 foot high, the half pipe itself, with a bit of overhang. It had some really decent moguls, a snake run, with a nice bit of vert on the ends, and a massive pool, three tier pool that used to go down straight into blue tile. I think that was about 14 and a half foot approximately, and about 18 foot across. So it's quite big, and being so small, that was massive. But wasn't the first thing I tried to ever go in, because obviously that was way out of my league. But I remember this day that I went there when it wasn't open, and before it opened and launched, if you like. And I think that day I bumped into Seth as well for the first time, and the guy who owned it, Dave Parker, and Ben Parker, and his two sisters. And he showed me the skate shop where it's going to be and everything. And then I went down into the half pipe. I had to climb down into there. There was a little slope, just climbed down in there, put the deck in there, and started faking it a little bit, and basically just really excited, thinking, wow, what the hell is this about, really? There was other skaters, and it was all around the pool, and I didn't know who they were or anything, but I started to ask and see who they were, and then I found out it was these guys from Benji Board, and there was some other guys as well, I think from Trade Winds. Not sure exactly what faces were down there that day, but I do particularly sort of remember, just trying to think, Paul Sully was down there that particular time, John Soboski, and these were the Benji Board team members at the time. And there was another guy there called Seth Cutts, who was a really good skater. Shane, his brother, and his sister. And I'm not sure if Simon Napper was on the scene down there, but he was usually with them not, so the chances are he was possibly with them as well. And I just remember watching them lot skate and doing stuff in this pool, and I was just like totally just blown out, it just blew me away. And I think, from that sort of day onwards, I kept going back with my dad where he was skating now, because my dad used to have a skate as well as work. And I just started to progress a little bit through the skating, and just really made some really good friends there. And some of those friends in the end became, part of what we called the Mad Dog Bowl team. And, they were good days, at that age, 10, and being able to skate, at such a high level park on, at that level was, it was just amazing, really.
So you were sponsored, were you, by Benji Boards?
Eventually, I was sponsored by them. I don't know what arrangement they had with my dad, at the time, because my dad kind of looked after that side of it. But what happened, we was the Mad Dog Bowl team, really, at first. And the Benji Bowl team, I later joined. I was headhunted a little bit. They came down, and I think they saw me as, guy with this nickname Floater, which I was given from Seth's mum, Ben Parker, because she said I used to look like I was always floating down the sides, so she made me a nice little badge with a feather on it, and that name just stuck, which is quite cute, really, but I was grateful, really. And yeah, one time I was down there, as time was moving on a little bit, and the Benji Boards manager, John Povey, he took over from Ben. Ben was another guy, Ben Howard. They're both he was an out of work actor kind of thing, who had Benji Board, and he passed it over to John Povey, who was the one that used to play in the Pretty Things, the band. And that was quite big back in the day. He used to be, they used to do stuff for Mick Jagger and all that in the beginning of it and stuff like that. And he was quite an interesting guy. There's all into that 70s stuff, if you know what I mean. And yeah, I got chosen for the Benji team, which was quite lucky, and that's when Tim come down and done the photos for the magazine, and the idea was that I was going to sell a load of decks for them, floater deck if you like, which did get made. It was a Henderson cut down. It's a Jeremy Henderson ball cut down, and had my logo on it, but unfortunately, I used to ride my own one, but it got stopped when skating died of death in the, literally in the factory when it was supposed to be coming out. So it's a bit of a shame.
So you were 10 then, and so you must be one of the youngest sort of sponsored or guys that was going to have his own deck.
Yeah, I mean, when we say sponsored, I mean, I don't remember seeing a load of money come my way, but I was sponsored in the sense of that age. As I said, I don't know really what the deal was with my dad, but I used to go, everything was taken care of in payment wise, wherever I went skating, that was always free. And I'd done a few trips to Belgium and a few trips to Holland with them, all expenses paid, doing demos and stuff like that. Obviously I had a load of skate gear as well all the time, but didn't really appreciate it at that time, and like everything, just
So what year would that have been? About 78?
79 really.
79.
Yeah, 79 was the Benji days. 1978, I was still just finding my feet a lot. I travelled around a little bit, but I'd not done, everywhere. I was a bit of a London boy, if you like.
So did you go? When did you go to Rome? Did you go like?
I went to Rome really early days when it first opened as well. I wasn't a total regular, but I used to pop down there occasionally. Me and my dad usually would always take me down there. It was between the three parks that were built at the same time, all by the same people, weren't they? Just trying to think the name of it, but you had Harrow, Gillingham, Black Lion Club. I think that's what it was. What it started to do, Black Lions, and yeah, Harrow, Gillingham, and Rom. Strangely enough, my favourite park out of all three of them, realistically, was Gillingham, and that was just a preferable thing due to the half pipe came out a little bit better in design. Wasn't so tight, should we say, as Rom was. And a lot of people were quite favourable on the pool in there, even though it was quite small. It had very easy transitions, I'd say. Rom was always a little bit more difficult to ride. They had the Sphere at Rom, which was about 14. No, it was about 15 to 6. No, actually I think it's about 16 foot high with the wall on it. That wasn't too bad, that was all right. I didn't mind that too much at all. That was a good ride. But I always remember thinking that Ron Paul was really tiny. I used to sort of moan about it. I just remember moaning about it, But obviously, when I got back there for the first time after 33 years of not non-skating, and I sort of stood down in there, I couldn't believe how big it was.
So when did you stop then? When it kind of died off?
Yeah, I stopped really about the age of 11. It was just as the 80s were actually just starting. I think I might have skated 1 or 2 months in the 80s, and that was it. I never touched a skateboard since then till 2013, I think. Yeah, so it was a long while, and I broke my ankle in the first hour of my comeback. So
what made you come back? What made you?
Well, again, it goes into other life stories and that. But I've been a father. I've been working for all these years, and just growing a family and that. I never really had much of an outlet after that, hobby-wise. Once I'd give up the pubs and the clubs and the raving and all that, if you know what I mean. I just never really found any sport or anything that I was happy with doing. So, in the end, I remember it was this chat I had with my brother many a time, and he said, "Mark, we've got to go and have a skate one time." So, strangely enough, the first thing we did actually, once we decided to do it, and the main reason it made me come back was because I was ill at one time. I had cancer, and I basically once I'd got over that and I survived it, it made me look at a lot of things. Obviously, like I suppose it would for a lot of people. And I thought, I've got to try and live again. But I did think I'd be skating because obviously I'm a big guy. I've had quite a few operations. I had a few stomach operations as well, which hasn't really been too helpful in my life. But there was a few things that really triggered my skating off again. One was just watching people skate in general, and I just couldn't believe how much I enjoyed watching people do it. And they look good guys, you know, nice people to talk to. And obviously, when once I did get back to it, I hurt myself. There was a big pot off. I wasn't sure whether I was going to get back to it, you know, in plaster and all that. But another strange story from that, and I've told a few people this one, and I think it was really important for me getting back. And I went up to Crystal Palace with my ankle repaired after having some metal in there, of course. And it's quite funny because I took my skateboard up there. Brother took his skateboard up there. The first thing I did, I went straight on the skateboard, and the first thing I did is roll my ankle straight over. Didn't pick my foot back up onto the deck. So that was a bit of a moan. But anyway, I persisted and thought, I don't know how this is going to go out. And anyway, we started going down a few slopes up there, and I was getting the hang of it, you know, because it's been a long time since I skated. I only had an hour before I broke my ankle, if you remember. So I never had a lot of touch to it. So, I remember going down this hill, and I think it was about autumn. And there's all the acorns and stuff on the floor, the leaves, the twigs, and that. And I was trying to remember how you skate through these things without catching them and hanging up. And my brother sort of bailed out on one of these hills, and I said, "No, come on, let's go down here," forgetting that I can't really run off the skateboard. You know, it just couldn't be done. I'd still be limping about. And I went down this hill, and it got faster and faster, and I just couldn't bow. I should have went onto the grass, really. I just kept going. This dog started chasing me. Yeah, it's only a little thing, and it was trying to get a bad ankle on the back of my ankle. And it seemed like I was going down this hill forever and ever. A bit like how I go on anyway. But I got down to the bottom, stopped. I had a great big smile on my face, and eventually this woman caught me up with a dog because I beat the dog away in the end. And she came and just started apologising. I said, "No need to apologise. You've done me a favour," you know. And I realised then that, you know, it was, even though it's just going down a slope, I completely forgot about I could run off the skateboard. In fact, I've just forgot everything, and I think that's what I really enjoyed about it. It took me something actually, you know, I found a cut off to switch off from your life, if you like, through skateboarding, and that sort of just made me want to get more into it, and then there was a lot of nice people about that I started to get in contact with on Facebook. And saying that, I mean, there also was the other website, Middle Age Shreds, not to forget them, back in the day, and made a few contacts there, and then sort of really went from there and tried to catch up with a bit of the history and the future, if you like, of skateboarding, because I missed so much, never had a clue about what's been going on in all that time. I had a lot to learn.
So 2013 then, so only like 3 years then, really?
Well, I mean, it might be 2011, because I'm forgetting where we are now. 2016, isn't we? So yeah, I think it was about 2011. Sorry, yeah,
okay,
for that, yeah.
5 years then, really.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of watch you like in the performance bowl and on the pool, and I mean it's almost. I mean, you wouldn't, if you were starting from scratch. You wouldn't get that in 5 years.
No, the strange thing is, I did forget skateboarding, and I know they call it memory retention, but I mean, I was like, when I first come back to it, I've got to say that I was throwing my arms everywhere. I was really sketchy. I'm still a little bit sketchy now, almost all about, but you know, I really, you know, it was quite alien to me. But I think what happened as well, I'd look at the magazine and things like quite a lot, believe it or not, to try and imagine myself that I was doing that, and why can't I still do that if I did it? And I got ideas from that, and watching other people I skated with, I learned quite a lot quite fast. I asked some stupid questions, you know, where should my feet be on the deck, and really weird stuff, because I wanted to know where I was back then. But the truth was, I was never going to get back to where I was then without just going on a journey again and trying to find myself, or where I was, if that makes sense. So I never knew whether I'd be able to get back on, and maybe even try and get a little bit red, if you like, you know what I mean, for a dad. Yeah. So yeah, I can't say I really knew the answer to that one. It's just been going along, and I'm just, you know, I try and better myself all the time. But at the same time, I do some sort of mad stuff, but I've never really gone mad because obviously I don't want to kill myself, if you know what I mean. Like, you know, I try and progress to sound slower rather than just going straight in there. I might pull it off, but you know, it might stop me skating for 3, 4, 5 months, which is not really the plan at this time, you know.
I guess I wonder what people would think of that haven't, you know, because you've got the kind of memory of Rom as a kid, but if you kind of went there for the first time, it's probably pretty intimidating, you know, compared to a lot
Oh,
of the parks around now.
yeah, I think you're right there. First of all, it's old. Uh, it's a bit rough, surface-wise, isn't it? So people like me who are padded up, you have to man up a little bit, whatever you do, you know, in that part. Um, but I mean, you know, the most fascinating thing I found about Rom is that it's somewhere that I knew when I was a kid, and I come back all them years, and some people were still skating for all them years, which really just blew me away. I couldn't believe. I thought everyone was like me; they just ditched it and just went on to something else in their life, you know, something else that was coming along. But it seems like that's held memories and you know, everything together. I mean, nothing's really been done to the park, regards to work wise. I know they've done a few underground half pipes in there, and they've added stuff. And there's been plenty of stuff over the years, and it's perished because it was timber and that. But the fact that the bowls have stayed there in the pool, which, you know, I do like the performance bowl as well, but the pool is almost a favourite now. You know, where before I you know, say it was too small, and you know, and every time I go there, for some reason, it looks like it overhangs a bit more. You know, it just don't know if the earth's moving with it. You know,
I think Dion's wearing it out.
I think he's definitely worn it out. I'll tell you, yeah, he's definitely worn it. Same place out, yeah, for sure. But yeah, no, I've had you know, I've been on there several occasions, and you know, there's a lot of good skaters that came from that place. I mean, there's a skater that I mentioned, yeah, um, that I really think a lot of. And funny enough, is when I first came back to skating, I went to Dartford, so their local park there, and I broke my ankle. But there was a guy that helped me out. And in fact, there's a lot of nice guys down there actually. But this particular guy, Chris Hall, a lot of people don't always know of him because he's more of a street skater. But when I first saw him down Dartford Skate Park, I wasn't skating. This is when I first went down there to. Well, I was actually skating that day, but not a lot until I broke my ankle. I watched him skate, and I just couldn't believe the level of skating I was just seeing in front of my eyes. I just couldn't believe it. And so cool, you know, found out later on that he originated really a lot of his skating at Rom. And they said, yeah, Chris Holt, you know, I know he's been a pro and he's skated for quite a few companies. And, you know, he was like a bit of an inspiration for me to see, you know, as a young punker. And just amazing, outrageous style. And that kind of made me, even though like he was a new skater, if you like, not so much like an old school surfy type of skater like myself. I realised that, you know, there's a lot more to skating than I even imagined, you know, and yeah, I found that really, you know, intriguing, really, definitely.
So with the cancer, how long ago was that?
I think it was about 9 years ago now. About 9 years ago, I had a lump in the side of my face here. My dentist found it, and yeah, you know, he put me on to the hospital, and I got it checked out. They couldn't really actually find anything, to be honest. So my dad come down with me, and he suggested I have it taken out, but they weren't that keen on taking it out because of all the nerves in your face. You know, like I've had a stroke or something. So anyway, I said, go on and get it out. It's better out than in. Anyway, took it out. Didn't hear nothing for about 6 weeks. And then I went up there to the hospital, and then they actually told me, yeah, you have got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is like a really bad one. You know, and they can treat it, but, you know, it's going to need chemo, radio and all that. So obviously I was quite upset when I was told that, but mainly thought my kids, to be honest. When, you know, you do, don't you, when you hear bad news. But shows you enough, you know, I got on with it, got fixed after that time, ripped my stomach again, all the chemo, so I had to have a second stomach operation, which was horrible. I never liked having a first stomach operation all that time ago. And just ended up with a big Mars bar down the back of my face, all down there, and that's where they took it out basically. But I'm lucky anyway. I'm very lucky, and I feel like I'm lucky.
Yeah, you might. I mean, looking back now, I bet you never thought you'd be skateboarding again.
I don't think I would have thought I'd be skateboarding even before that. I mean, even if you no, seriously, if someone said to me you can still skate when you're 25, 30, for some reason, it would not have computed. I was just putting on weight. I was in a sales job, going along just selling, and never even thought about how to do something like that. And
what is it? What is it you think that sort of brings people back into it, like at our age? And
well, I think it's, as you said, it's like, some people call it like a midlife crisis, don't they? You know what I mean? Some people are unfaithful, aren't they? And some people, I mean, with me, I think it was just back to the, boys with toys. And I think that's what I've learned from it now. There's other ways you can think of it, how creative and all that kind of stuff. And that's been talked about many a times. And some of that is true as well. Of course it is. But it is no better excuse to go and find one of your buddies and go out with your toys and play. That's what I've learned from it. I didn't really even realise that in the first couple of years of being back, but I have now. It's that's really, really cemented in there now. That it's I say boys with toys. There's girls out there, of course, doing the same thing as well. So
is it the creative thing's interesting? I talked to Ian about that. And I mean, because you're in creative business, you're like the graphics and websites.
Yeah,
so you've got that kind of,
mm-hmm.
and I kind of do that as well. And a lot of people, whether they're artists or musicians, they're either BMX or skateboard.
Mm-hmm.
There is that kind of connection. That, as a kid, you kind of spend hours learning a trick for no other reason than.
Yeah, I think if you think. It's like, I mean, I can't do a million tricks now, and I never could do a million tricks in the first place. But when I used to skate, I used to love the things that really, really stick in my mind was the speed factor. I've always did like the speed side of things, because that's fast and exciting, anything like that. Style was something that just came into it when you skated. If you was unbalanced, or you knew you looked horrid on a skateboard, you'd have to try and sort it out. But some people's style comes natural too, by the way it flows, and some people's style is not so obvious and have to work it a bit harder, and that's something that I've noticed. But generally, actually, most people in skating, doesn't matter how different they are, they're actually all unique. That's what I've learned. Doesn't matter if someone's like, it's like, like claw finger or something, like kung fu. It's just people have a certain style about them. They look good. Some look smoother than others. Some look a bit more punky. And looking at it from all the generations, from when I first started out to kind of where it is now, it's still progressing. I still can't even believe how it can progress, to be honest.
What would you say about the guys at ROM that you kind of noticed about them?
They're like. There are a certain type of people. They are the Romblians, I call them. They like rough surface. That's all I can say. No, seriously. They, when they skate somewhere like Rom, you kind of think of someone as being, what's the word for it? Not an average skater, because you can't hurt yourself in there too often. Because you just end up with skin graft or something like that. So it takes a certain type of skater, and I think them guys up there are very confident. They ride it, and they're pretty aggressive in there when they ride it as well, to give it the extra bit of manning up, I'd say. If that's what you want to call it. And I've gone there not a million times to Rum, but I've gone there, and there's something about that pool, I think, that you kind of, you go in and you think, right, I'm just going to go in here easy today, because I know it's took a lot of victims. They always do, pools. People always go in trying to rip the shit out of them, and it basically backfires on them somewhere along the line. So I've always tried to remember that, but give me half hour in there, And I start going like a lunatic, and you know most people do who go in there. They really you lose yourself. It's like a madness. You just go in there and you're just fighting these walls, and you just think I'll have you, and you know you sort of attack them and come out, and you know it doesn't matter if someone says wow that was rad, this is that. In your head you just feel like I had to do that to you. You know it was like it gets personal when you're in these pools. You know, just want to rip them up a bit and get your out of you.
What about like Graham? What do you think of Graham? Graham's sort of style and
Yeah, now Graham's unique. He's got his own style. He's a very surfy style skater, which I like. You know that kind of old school skating is hard to replicate unless it comes naturally. But yeah, he's a man of many faces. He's been good to me. He's been kind to me when I've met him, and you know he's enjoyed my company. I've enjoyed his company, and it took me a little while to get used to his sarcasm, I think. But everyone knows about that. His little rants, you know what I mean. But I'm used to that now. I know where it's coming from.
and Dion.
Dion, yeah, Dion's like a brick, isn't he? You know, he's in there. I mean, he's already defining so many things, you know, because you know he had a bad accident once, you know, and you know he kind of was they put him in a category of disabled, and you know the fact that he's grinding that pole and that is just actually is unbelievable. It's just, you know, that is a story on its own, you know. Again, so. And with all these kind of things that you find out with the characters, not only just at Rom, obviously this happens in a lot of other places, but yeah, with Rom you can see that I can go up there any time, sort of, and I could just bump into faces up there, and it feels like part of the old skating. I'd say it's about the closest thing that I could say. Saying that, I don't go around a lot, and I don't get around to a lot of parks, so it would be, you know, it wouldn't be good for me to just judge that and put that in there, because I don't go to Harrow. I should go up there one time. I've been there for years, which I did just enjoy up there as well. And of course, places like Shoreham with Jelly, who's looking after the Jelly Bow up there. And, you know, some of the jams that we've had up there, the ham jams and that, they've been really great, you know, good stuff and that. And, you know, I've met quite a few of the really good old school skaters out there, and I've learnt a lot. Skated with a couple. I mean, Sean Goff, everyone knows. I mean, he's like a legend, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? You know, and it's, you know, so many other names that I could name, but probably couldn't remember the names for.
I guess
you know
the new kind of guys, like you look at Dave Maddox.
Oh yeah, Dave, yeah. His name is I mean, basically he's from the Matrix. He is, you know, he's Neo. You know, when he skates, he's just got that style that makes everything look easy, as if he's just taking on so much at once. Yeah, he's Neo, that's it, that's his nickname. He's nicknamed that from me anyway. Everyone seems to get a nickname, don't they?
Yeah. They call him, Dion calls him Safe Eggs, isn't he? Have you seen that? You know that?
No, I don't know that one. No.
When he skates, he kind of skates with his hand like
oh,
that.
yeah.
Safe Eggs.
Yeah.